Yo, what's going on? It's Dead Boy Fred. Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're doing another verse battle. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we're doing Itachi versus Jiraiya. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content that you've been watching, please be sure to go down there, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss another video. Now, getting straight into the video, well, just before we get straight into the video, as we all know, this was the second place winner on the voting poll that I put on Twitter that I said I would get to. And, Jiraiya versus Itachi, pretty popular fight. I know a lot of people wanted to see it. So, it's out here. So let's get straight into this. All right. Now, starting off with this fight, I think the first thing I want to talk about is the statement of Kisame, and when he said that he felt that him and Itachi basically couldn't defeat one Sannin. And I feel this is more so a way of Itachi trying not to hurt anyone of the Leaf. And the reason I say that is because if you just look at the many things Itachi, like many times, let's say that many times he could have actually done something to the Leaf when there were less, there were more threats around. Like, to be quite frank with you, when he was fighting Kurenai, Asuma, and Kakashi, Itachi probably had the ability at that point in time to kill any of those characters. I do believe he was above all of those characters. So at any point in time, he was outside of the village, so he could have killed any of them, especially Kakashi, but instead he settled for Tsukuyomi because he didn't feel the need to want to kill anyone because he doesn't want to hurt anyone in the Leaf Village. That's why he genjutsu'd Kurenai, he genjutsu'd Kakashi, and I can't remember what even happened to Asuma. Asuma was quite fodder in that. Really all of them were fodder. It was more so just an introduction to Itachi in that situation anyways. But even then, it was a simple task for Itachi to actually kill any of them if he wanted to, but yet he didn't. And this is no different. It's Jiraiya and Naruto walking, and Kisame, as we see later on, is able to, fight Killer Bee, who is a Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails, who's a master Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails. And if you ask me, I would put Killer Bee above Jiraiya. And so if he's able to fight this Killer Bee, and actually he was not losing neither. If you ask me, Kisame possibly could have came out of that fight, with the dub. So when you look at things like that narratively into the future, you just take those type of statements and then you just figure out that they're not as true as they once were made to seem. So that's one thing I do want to get out of the way. Now, getting into a little bit more detail on this, we know what both fighters can do. We know their abilities. We know Itachi has this Susanoo, his fire style. He's a pretty good taijutsu guy. He doesn't really have an extremely large arsenal. Most of it relies on the Sharingan and the, well, I was going to say Susanoo, but that's a part of the Sharingan. So yeah, most of it relies all on the Sharingan. And then we have Jiraiya, who has, Sage mode. He has, I believe he's a master of 4 out of 5 chakra natures. He might be a master of all 5, but I cannot remember if he is. It might only be 4. But yeah, and then he has all his Toad jutsus, and he has Ma and Pa, of course, once he goes into Sage mode. So he does have his Frog Genjutsu. And so the thing about this fight is what I have a strong time. I have a really hard time trying to find a situation where basically I find a hard situation for where I see Itachi not winning. Like, the thing is, even if you try and take the statement of Old Pain said if Jiraiya would have knew this and that about us, then he possibly would have won. If you ask me, I still don't take Pain's statement very serious, because what we seen Pain was able to do, even though he was able to be more destructive, but yet they were weaker when they were in the Leaf Village, what we seen the Pains were able to do when they were fighting Naruto definitely got the harder end of the stick versus the Pains. And it also only took 3 Pains before, Jiraiya was basically on his last limbs, because after the other 3 showed up, it was a wrap from there. While Naruto, on the other hand, had to fight all 6, if I remember. Yeah, he had to fight all 6 of them, and then he won. Now, granted, if you ask me, I do not believe Naruto was stronger than Pain himself. I do believe there was a couple things that, you know, were up in the air with that fight. I definitely do think Naruto should have lost it, but that's just me personally. And so even then, I still feel that Itachi even has a better chance against Pain, to call it simple. I feel that Itachi has a much better chance against Pain, and I even feel that, honestly, if you ask me, I might just do a video on this, but I do believe Itachi possibly could beat Sage Naruto. So if you're in this point in this video and you think that'll make a good video, Sage Naruto versus Itachi, leave that down in the comment section. You know, if this video gets a couple, you know, a good enough amount of comments on that, I'll make that video. But yeah, I do believe Itachi is, if not relevant, a little bit, you know, if not above Naruto, then definitely relevant to Sage Mode Naruto, because I believe he's relevant enough to Pain. And then honestly, like I made the Itachi versus Pain video, I do feel like Itachi in a certain situation, even if he is sick, he can still beat Pain. It just all depends on how much, you know, chakra he really can use, because we never did see him just go with a full killer intent to like really take somebody out. Even in the Sasuke fight, when we thought he was truly pushing it, he really wasn't. So, you know, at any point he could have killed that Sasuke. And that's another point I want to touch on. If you watch my early versus battle videos, I did a versus battle video on basically that Sasuke versus Jiraiya, and I had Sasuke coming on top in a couple of those scenarios. So, you know, even if this same Itachi at any point in time could have killed Sasuke, I find it really hard to believe that Jiraiya can do very much more. But to give you, you know, a narrative, you know, way of how this could go out, you know, first we have to talk about if Jiraiya can and cannot get into Sage Mode. If he does not, if Itachi allows Jiraiya to get into Sage Mode, then it makes it slightly harder on Itachi. It definitely does make it a closer fight, but we'll talk about non-Sage Mode. So without Sage Mode, we know that Itachi's Tosca Blade and all his other Susanoo attacks most definitely will hit Jiraiya. There is not a doubt in my mind. Base Jiraiya can dodge any of those. Even though Nagato had a smoke screen in front of him, he still was hit by the Tosca Blade, and Nagato is significantly faster than base Jiraiya. And so, you know, if Nagato of all people still got hit by this, granted, you know, if you want to take the smoke screen into countable, then, you know, you can call it iffy, but regardless, he still is a strong enough fighter that should, you know, that shouldn't affect him that much. But if it does, you know, it is what it is. Regardless, my main point is Nagato is faster than Jiraiya, and yet he still managed to get hit by the Tosca Blade. So it's no way in the world that Jiraiya is dodging that, or he's dodging any of the other Susanoo attacks. So, and then I also feel that base Jiraiya, I do feel like he might be wiser than Itachi, and that's a stretch, because Itachi, as we know, is probably, in my opinion, top 3 smartest characters in the entire show. You can, you know, there are a lot of people that put him 1, 2. Him and Shikamaru were very, you know, counterpartable. You know, Madara's definitely up there too as a top tier intelligent character. But yeah, nonetheless, Itachi is an extremely smart character. So no matter what Jiraiya does, Itachi is a smart enough fighter to figure out ways to counter what he's doing and ways to just, you know, utterly defeat Jiraiya. But even if he goes into Sage Mode, the one thing Itachi will have to worry about is now, you know, the huge strength amp that now Jiraiya has, because now I feel like this sick Itachi cannot just physically just go into a full-out taijutsu fight with this Jiraiya, because Jiraiya is physically stronger than him by a significant margin. I think most people can agree. Sage Mode Jiraiya should be physically stronger than Itachi by a good little portion. So Jiraiya would definitely want to get close quarters with Itachi, while Itachi probably wouldn't want to get close quarters, because these Sage Mode amp hits and, you know, the just strength difference would be extremely significant. Now, the thing is, Jiraiya isn't a complete Sage, so he does not get as much of a strength amp and just amps all around as Naruto does, so we do have to remember that. And even then, you know, Jiraiya with his Sage Mode, I feel like his speed and strength amp still just aren't enough for him in this fight, because one thing it is you would have to find some type of proof that Jiraiya would have something to even break through the the shield, the Yadamir shield. Yeah, if Itachi puts that thing up, there is nothing in Jiraiya's arsenal that I can find that could break through there. No giant Rasengan, no none of that. Because if you take in accountable that Sasuke did throw a Kirin at Itachi, and most people, including myself, do believe that Itachi threw up the full body Susanoo and then let it back down, because it's really hard to believe the skeletal Susanoo was able to take that attack, because that attack was extremely big. Kirin was an extremely big attack. So, if you're someone like myself who believed that he had to bring up the Yadamir shield for that, then it is no way a massive Rasengan is breaking through that thing. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're looking for some more versus battle videos and you have any ideas of anything that I haven't done on the channel yet, please be sure to leave it down below in the comment section. And, I'd love to respond to those comments, tell you guys how I feel about them, and even potentially do them, of course. So yeah, with all that the way, hope you guys enjoyed it. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.